So today is February 1st, and less than 30 days ago, I still had a husband and was in a marriage that, although had some things that we were working through, I thought I was still in a marriage. Then, less than 7 days later, my husband came home from work, packed about 5 to 6 bags, and left our home. With no notice, no discussion, no self-reflection. He made a major family decision on his own for me and everyone in our family. I have been documenting the process of our separation and divorce. So for anyone that is going through it, they have empathy and connection that you know you're not alone. For those of you contemplating it, you can understand the different stages, and for those that have left, you can see what you left behind. I know everyone's story is different. It's very complex. People are complex, but the decisions that we make and how they impact others really should be considered. Kindness should always come first. And I think that is what has hurt me the most in the way that my husband left. I'm madly in love with my husband, and although our relationship wasn't 100% perfect, we were actually pretty happy, or at least he acted happy. I have no idea why he left, other than he said that we had irreconcilable differences that he did not see ever being fixed. Things like financial differences and how we spend money, which is kind of ironic given that we have a prenuptial agreement and our money is kept separate. So that one baffles me to this day. We are each self-sufficient in our finances, but he doesn't like the way I spend my money. Interesting. He is older than me, and so life goals as far as retirement are a little bit different. But he knew that when he married me. We've only been married just almost 2 years. So to be concerned about that now feels a little bit like a bait and switch and not really fair. And then finally, the last thing is my husband is sober for about 18 years, and we went to premarital counseling, and we had talked about how we were going to handle that situation, because I am not an alcoholic and I do enjoy a glass of wine, and that was still in flux, but I don't feel like these were irreconcilable differences, because I'm willing to work with my husband and find a solution because I love him. So I have been going through this process of separation for the last 30 days, dealing with my children, handling my household. To say that it's an emotional financial crisis, it's so emotionally and financially debilitating. It's scary. Now I have to figure out how I'm going to move. I was not planning on moving and selling our home. And he's put me in the worst possible position. If he had taken some time and agreed to a separation, even if we still came to the same result, it would have been better for us both financially to have done some planning and to have figured it out. But he did not want to talk, and that's kind of what I want to talk about today. So we have been going back and forth with our attorneys. My attorney is out of town, and he left in such a frenzy that night that he did not get to take all of his personal effects, and he is now requesting that his rest of his items, in addition to dismantling our home. Unfortunately, I don't really see why it would be fair for him to dismantle our home in less than 30 days of him leaving, when it was his sole decision and I had no idea that this was coming. But that's not really what I want to talk about. What I want to talk about is the fact that my attorney had suggested to him, in her absence, that he could reach out to me. And I actually had encouraged that as well, given that I didn't want to incur an attorney fee to to discuss a time and date for him to pick up his clothes. I don't want to pay my attorney to negotiate that for me. So he had reached out, and I found that through an email, that correspondence was really hard. Dealing with him caused me more emotional harm than I thought. It wound up ruining my day, consuming me, even though it was just a few minutes, reading an email. The emotional response and the it kind of took me back to that place of abandonment again, reaffirming how detached my husband has become, which still just blows my mind. Someone that could be there for you and love you, and then the next day just be gone. So, I'm working through that with my therapist to understand. Obviously, he was in a much different place than I thought and wasn't being truthful to me, which also is very hurtful, because then it makes me not trust myself, and makes me think, what did I miss? So I have a lot of self-reflection to do to see how I let myself be put in this situation. Although I do feel like his leaving was not fair and totally irrational, I do need to take my part in not seeing this coming a little bit more. I don't know. It's there's two sides to every story, and I'm not saying that he doesn't have his. I just am so disappointed with the way that he's handled himself since he has left. Almost as if I didn't mean anything at all. And that's what hurts the most. But maybe that's what he wants. He wants to hurt and punish me. Well, congratulations. He's doing it. But I'm not going to let him do it any longer. So my advice to you is if you're going through your divorce, no matter what side you're on, if you're struggling with talking to that person, if you're the one that left, it's much easier for you because you already have made your case to yourself. But if you're the one that was left, you might want to consider not giving yourself that buffer of an attorney or a friend or advisor to help you talk to your ex and work out the details. Very few couples are able to come together, and if they do, it's usually after a great amount of time has passed, and maybe they were separated for 6, 12, 2 years. But him trying to negotiate this with me in less than 30 days, I'm still too raw. So my suggestion is, if you don't want to use an attorney, give yourself that benefit of time for both of you to heal. So when you do come back together, you can be rational and less emotional, and you're ready to go through the separation process, and leaving all the hurt and the resentment out of the room. But if one of your partners is trying to push to get this done so quickly as mine is, you're going to probably need some help. You're going to need a buffer, and putting yourself through that torture of trying to deal with them when you're still healing, it's just going to reopen your wounds. It's just going to reopen your wounds and prolong your pain. So that's my advice for you today. And that is my update, and I will let you know what happens about him getting his items, and how my therapy is going, because I did start therapy, and she recommended the book Codependent No More. And while I do recognize some of the traits in there, I don't totally identify for a codependency from my particular relationship that I'm in right now. Not to say that we all have codependency tendencies, that's for sure. So anyways, have a wonderful day, and I will send you an update soon.